listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney, in 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? J-Rod, we got a little, was that by design, J-Rod?
Got sparks flying.
Wait, why do I hear multiple things here? I got multiple things going on here. Yeah, hold on. I've got a couple of things going on here. J-Rod, talk to me, homeboy. Talk to me, brother.
Hello? Can
All
you
right,
hear me?
I guess we're good there. Okay.
You good?
Yeah, we do have some sparks flying in those comments already, huh? People coming after me already?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
dude.
man.
I can't believe it, man. This guy, first thing he does in the morning, gets up, throws some shots at BT.
Why don't you pop that up? I'm in that kind of mood. Pop it up.
Let's
Mess
go.
around with this guy. All right. So who is this? Billy Myers. Billy Myers dash TD6TW. All right. So you got fired for a show that talked about baseball 365 days a year, and you thought doing the same show was going to get different results. Time to get a job, bro, and be a man. Whoa, yo, tough guy, be a man.
Hot out the gate.
Oh, my God. Is somebody really, truly laced with that kind of negativity that they think that that's how they want to start the day, or that they're
Oh, it's
predisposed
crazy.
to starting the day that way? You know, that's the kind of guy, that's the kind of person maybe back in the day, shall we say, maybe a younger and less secure or less controlled BT might absolutely eviscerate, which, by the way, would be entertaining. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I'm going to look at that. I'm going to laugh, and I'm just going to work under the notion that I could take 2 fucking cans, okay, and a string and stand on the fucking moon with no oxygen, and I would have more viewers than you if you actually got on a station or on a TV show. So that's now we can move on. All right. Now we we can't let it get too out of hand where we absorb these shots.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll laugh a little bit, have a little bit of fun. But yeah, I mean, come on, buddy. Let's get a grip. Let's get real. Oh man. Oh, by the way, J-Rod had some homework yesterday.
Yes, sir.
And now we told J-Rod to watch. Well, I gave him a couple of different options, and he settled on the Warriors. All right. Now, we got some great content today, but a lot of baseball stuff, much to the chagrin of that gentleman with 9 letters in his YouTube handle and a dash as well, to his chagrin. But I would like to know, what did you know? It's very, very dated. It's very old.
Yeah, that's it.
So go ahead. Give us a
No,
little
I mean, it
rundown
was
of the
fun.
Warriors.
It was definitely an entertaining run through. I mean, certainly different from movies you watch today, because movies you watch today, they've got they've always got a message, and there's always like something a little avant-garde with the story. This movie was just straightforward. Just, all right, listen, these guys got framed for this murder. Let's battle back to Coney Island. So I thought it was funny. And man, like, a couple weeks ago, you're getting on Kuzma. You're like, what's this guy wearing? His sweaters, they're too long. These dudes are out here in vests and chieftain garb. I'm like,
I know.
Like,
I know.
Was that fresh back in the day?
Well,
Was that
not for me. I mean, listen, I was also never in a gang. I was never remotely tough enough or had interest in being, or was being recruited by a gang. I think that, now that's at the end of the 70s. So that's 79, I believe the Warriors came out. So that means it starts getting written and goes to production, late 77, maybe early 78. So you still have some remnants from the mid 70s stylistically. I do think that when you look at the gangs of the 70s, it was a lot of leather, it was a lot of spikes. It was a lot of vest with the muscles showing. The bare chest and stuff like that. Think about it. Think about what now. I don't know if this is the best example, but think of the Village People. Think of the Village People.
Exactly.
Right?
I mean,
YMCA.
that was it.
You know what I mean? So, but did you like it? Like, all in all, you liked it, the grittiness? You had a good time watching it?
I mean, it's definitely a good time, definitely entertaining. I mean, I thought the scene where they meet up with the girls and then they're like, "We're the Lizzies." They bust out the guns on them. Like, it's fun. It's a fun movie.
All right. Well, I could tell that you were a good student because that's a fairly comprehensive report. Good job, J-Rod. I love it. Oh, my God. The kids are going to school in about 15 or 20 minutes. God, get out of here already. Go to school already. Please get going. The shoveling yesterday was just an immense, colossal pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like this. I really haven't. In all my, I was trying to tell my son who's now where I like it. He's starting to proactively grab a shovel. Granted, it's a smaller shovel, but still grabbing a shovel, coming out, trying to help daddy, and my daughter came out for a little bit as well. And she tried to help, which was fun. Right. But it was so daunting. Like I couldn't even go out my front on the porch because it was so like, so I went out the garage. I'm like, let me just, put the garage door up. And I'm looking at, and I felt like I was, remember in Empire Strikes Back, the Hoth system, when Han Solo slices over that, as like the animal slices over the animal, and he sticks Luke in there to keep him warm. Like it was just snow everywhere. And it was so daunting because generally when you shovel, like say if the snow, I don't know if this would be the best example, right? Say if the snow was like up to here, and like the ground is about here, like the shovel comes under it and then you just lift whatever's there and it's gone. But the difference yesterday was that it was literally 23, 24 inches where I am. So you would get here, and then by the time you got here, it was too heavy, or the shovel would break. So you had to almost smash the top and loosen it up. I felt like I was preparing a meal just to be able to work hard. It was hard, bro. Dude. It was really hard. And then the worst part, and this, I'll tell you, and I don't, I want to be fair. They're doing their job. I've got respect for them. I don't mean this in the wrong way, but they look at you and it's almost like they know that you're screwing you. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the people who come and plow in my neighborhood. You pay decent amount of taxes, certain things, that the town does for you. So the way it is, like my driveway, decent sized driveway, right? And then obviously it kind of funnels out to the street. So I do the whole thing. I do I do everything I had to do. And then just as I'm getting ready to wrap up, they come by again with the plow, and now it picks up like all the remnants of not only the snow, but now it's ice, and now I've got to do it again because if I don't, you're not able to drive the car out there. And they look at you like, I don't know, like they don't even like. I can't explain. I know they're doing their job. I can't really explain it, J-Rod. And I appreciate hard work. I really do. But that part annoys me, man. I was out there for hours, hours upon hours, just trying to make a dent into this damn thing. Eventually, we got to figure it out. You got to do what you got to do. You got to man up, and you got to be able to operate here. So it looks like we're back to civilization here, and the world will continue to spin. But it is just, I'm so over this shit, man. I can't wait for this weather to start, coming in and start melting the ice. I saw Wednesday it's going to be about 42, 43. So that's a starting point. But yesterday was an absolute disaster. What a disaster.
Terrible. Disaster. I mean, similar vibe. Like we've kind of got like I wanted to check out the snow. We've got like a roof deck area. And I try to open the door. It doesn't open.
I couldn't open it up.
It's literally the snow was piled past the door frame, just stuck.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Crazy.
And just, again, and it's driving me nuts because the whole time, like, the last day or two, and I get it. She's from Dallas. She didn't see a lot of snow growing up, but the whole time my wife's like, oh, it's so beautiful. Oh, look at the snow and the trees. Oh, look at this is gorgeous. This is great. And in my mind, I'm saying, no, it's not, because this just means the baseball season is going to be complicated here. Yeah. Like we have a big tournament in my neighborhood where we invite, I don't know, there's probably 30 or 40 teams that descend upon our baseball facility, and we do a St. Patrick's tournament. Travel club teams, like it's fairly high level, and it's really awesome. Like we bring in these fences, and because we have two big fields, like where the kids play soccer and lacrosse. Then we have just a turf baseball field that we built within the last 2 years. So what we do is we bring in these massive fences, and the one big field that's soccer and lacrosse, we fence it off for the kids. It's like, it takes all day to build. Takes all day to take down. This year I could probably help with the fences because I'm not in the city. Usually a lot of the guys in town do it like, 9 or 10, 11 in the morning. I'll do it after the show. I'm going to go out and give a hand this year. But I don't even know if we're able to do that. Anyway, the snow, it just drove me fucking nuts. Like really, I wasn't kidding. it put me in a bad mood. Like,
Uh-huh.
that's the last thing that I wanted to see. But here's what's going to put me back in a good mood, little baseball. Now,
There we go.
Darryl Strawberry, who I know really well and I love, had some really interesting things to say about former Met Pete Alonso. Let's get this up on the board. I want to read it. I want to react. Look at the graphic there. Look at how sad Pete looks walking away. But again, Pete's hitting some bombs early. Can't be that sad. Quote, I was really shocked that Pete would leave New York for Baltimore. One day he's going to wake up and just like I did and regret you didn't stick where you're at. That's what Darryl Strawberry said. All right. Again, I really do have a lot of affinity for Darryl. Like, I've gotten to know him a little bit. I remember when I was doing a lot of stuff for SNY, and that's when he was really turning his life around with the church and his wife, Tracy, who I've met a couple of times. I remember the first time I really met Tracy, you could take that down, was at Michael K's wedding. And I was getting hammered with Coney. Oh, great wedding, my God. And Darryl, they were there, and we were having an awesome time. And I appreciate Darryl speaking. I'm sure he was asked about this. I don't think he just volunteered this. So, but I do think that Darryl is wildly off base here. And I don't think that you can equate the two at all. I'm not even saying that he's trying to. See, there were three things that were preventing Darryl Strawberry from remaining a Met. Number one, there was a massive disconnect in the money, number one. Number two, there was a high amount of mistrust, and that was all Darryl's fault. And number three, there was just a ton of turmoil. That was all Darryl's fault. So when he basically said that he shouldn't, there was other quotes, but that was the main one. That was the money one. He also went on to say that he should not have opted out with his deal with the Mets here. I think that this is an example. I do think that some people will take this, and I don't want to say, take shots at Darryl, because I don't think anybody's looking to do that. But I do think that they'll misread this or they'll misapply this. This was not Darryl, it's trying to stick it to Pete. I think that this is somebody who's not incredibly informed of the situation. That's just my honest, sincere opinion. You think every time I see Darryl, for the most part, on social media, it's something to do with his ministry. Like, he's got a bigger calling right now, and I totally respect that. I don't think, I know he's not like immersed day to day in baseball and like the Mets business. And I know he's down at Port St. Lucie, or at least he was. I'm not sure how long he'll be there. He was asked about this. He gave a pretty, he gave you his opinion, but I don't really think that it matches what happened here. Get that up one more time there, Jay. So, you want to try to equate the two. One was back in the late 80s. One is back in the mid 2020s. Two very different people, two very different talents, two different personalities. I was really shocked that Pete would leave New York for Baltimore. Now, keep this up. I'm going to attack it line by line. I was really shocked Pete would leave New York for Baltimore. Well, why? The Mets didn't want him. You see, that's the part that Darryl's missing. They did not want Pete Alonso. Everything in the negotiations that were going on this offseason when he opted out, and everything that transpired last year, coming off a really good season, basically told you that the Mets no longer valued Pete Alonso, that they were looking for different things. They were looking for things that David Stearns valued more than what Pete Alonso was able to bring to the table. Pete can't run. Pete can't play defense. Pete's not a good base runner. Pete's not going to age gracefully. By the way, these are things that I've said for a couple of years, and many of you resisted, and many of you resented. And I don't take any pleasure in being right, but the action, or really the inaction on the part of the Mets pertaining to trying to keep Pete, validates everything that I said, not to mention that he's no longer here. So I don't know why Darryl would be shocked if somebody, put it this way, I know the radio business is very different. You can get me back up here now. Thank you very much. If you look at the way it ended, you can get me back up here, Jay. We're good. If you look at the way it ended for the fan, like if there was, and I know it's different. Like, of course, Pete's making 30 for whatever the hell he's making. It's just not like that. And by the way, I freaking wish that there was free agency in radio. I wish that there was free agency in radio. Like, I wish that you come up and you got to go through the arbitration nonsense, the pre-arb one, whatever it is. Incrementally get a little bit more. I promise you that if there was radio free agency, I'd be a fucking stud. I can promise you that. Like now, I'm thrilled with what we're doing. I am, and I know this is the new wave of communication and content. And radio's dying. Radio is dying a very slow death. All right, companies that used to be on the FM signal are no longer on the FM signal. Companies that used to pay a lot of money and subscribe to the ratings, and you know who I'm talking about, no disrespect, they no longer do that because it's no longer cost effective. So the measurement, us versus them versus us, that whole game is over. Nobody writes about the New York radio wars anymore. Like it's over. I mean, the carousel has stopped turning. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean people don't have jobs and that people don't make decent money in a few spots at WFAN and a few of the other spots there. And you have games, the Giants and the home of the Yankees. There are elements of high viability, but the days of radio like what it used to be are clearly over. I mean, the staffs aren't getting, enhanced or deepened. They're getting whacked every year. This is getting sliced off and that's getting sliced off. But I know I'm going on a tangent here, but I should only be so lucky for there to be radio free agency. All right. Hey, if it was actually based on talent and if it was actually based on merit and not some other bullshit that some people want to rate, whatever they want to do, I can promise you that if there was radio free agency, I would have massive offers. You could take that, you could clip that, and you could play that for perpetuity. It's a fact. All right. So the difference is that Pete, who is, by the way, a lot better at his job than I am at mine. I'm not trying to go nuts here, right? But nobody was knocking down the door of Pete Alonso, starting with the Mets. So, when Darryl says that, I'm like, I know it wasn't malicious. It wasn't. But I know it wasn't because I don't think Darryl has a bad bone in his body anymore. I think that he has changed to the point where the person that he's become is real. And I think that that's incredibly impressive. And I'm happy for him and I'm proud of him. I really am, because there were points, this is before I knew Darryl, like back in the day, where that was a dark figure. That was a dark man. And it's well chronicled. I'm not going to run through all the stuff that happened. You can look it up. But you cannot equate the two. Because Frank Cashin didn't trust you. Management, ownership didn't trust you. Your reliability on the field as a great five-tool player wasn't always translating. Effort was questioned. There was a lot of knocks on Darryl where he was hurt and he didn't really return from injury very, very soon, or it just took a little longer than some people thought. That was never Pete Alonso. I mean, Pete is just a different athlete and a different type of player in a very different time. Let's use common sense for a moment, guys. Please apply common sense. Do you think that if the Mets would have been proactive, because everything, the other part of what Darryl's saying is true, I do think there's going to be a point in Pete's life where, not now, maybe when he comes back to Citi Field in September, maybe when, he retires, and let's face it, if he gets 500 home runs, he's going to be in Cooperstown. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. At least debatable. I mean, and I would say yes more than no. There's going to come a point of self-reflection for Pete where he's going to, question. It's going to really depend how it goes in Baltimore too. If it goes really well, then he won't lament leaving the Mets. But what was the option, Darryl? Like I'm asking the question. What was the option? Not opt out and take 65, 70 cents on the dollar despite being one of the preeminent power hitters in the game? Would you do that, Darryl? Did you do that, Darryl? The answer is no. And I think when, there's a lot, I was going to say that there's really not much that I personally regret. I'm not saying there's no regrets, but if I was, obviously I've talked about this a lot. I coach and I played whatever, but I was just never good enough to make it. All right. I know that I maxed out at the mid-major Division I level. Injuries, just didn't quite have that talent. But if I had the talent and I just flushed it down the chute as a dad, as a grown man now that begins to reflect on earlier parts of my life, man, that would be a burden that would be very hard for me to deal with. Now, it bothers me that I didn't perform the way that I should have, right? But I can look myself in the mirror and just stare through my eyes and say, hey, did you really give it your best? Did you do everything if you said that you wanted to be the next Don Mattingly and you wanted to play Major League Baseball and you wanted to do this and you wanted to do that, there's certain limitations that you can't control. Man upstairs does, okay? What you can control is how much do you put out? How much do you try to maximize whatever God gave you? And I'm content in my, I wish I was given more talents, quite frankly, but in my early 50s, I can look in that mirror, the Bill Parcells mirror, because the reflection never lies. The man in the mirror, we know the poem, and I can look in that mirror, and even though it's painful, certain parts like not getting the job done or not performing the way that I thought that I should, and my teammates in my school thought that I should, I can look in that mirror with a very clear mindset and the prism of self-evaluation. I'm content, just because I know I couldn't go any further. Can Darryl do that? Can Darryl? No, and I'm not I love Darryl, but Darryl can't do that. Can Pete Alonso do that? Yes, he could. Pete Alonso could do that. Specific to his Mets tenure, Pete Alonso could do that. Darryl Strawberry could not. That's a big difference right there. So I just think it's the kind of thing, where a guy who's been removed from the game for a long time, who has more important interests like his church, and it's great. It's great what Darryl's doing. I think the wording, when you see it, put it up once more there, Jay. Please put up that quote board, buddy. I want to get to some Soto stuff as well. I got something on the draft too. Like when you see that, if you don't take the time to incorporate, nuance and circumstance and all the keep it up there, please. All the other stuff. I think Darryl, in the court of public opinion, is going to get a little knocked around today. And I'm not here to do that because I don't think that he meant this with an ounce of malice. Quote, I was really shocked that Pete will leave New York for Baltimore. Well, you shouldn't be because the Mets didn't want him. Baltimore did. Next, one day he's going to wake up like I did and regret that you didn't stick where you're at, end quote. Well, I don't think that you can have any regrets. This is just whether this is Pete leaving the Mets or Darryl leaving the Mets or Pete finishing in Baltimore or, I don't know, if Aaron Judge doesn't win a World Series. Like, if you do everything that you can do at your disposal, within your power, if you really attack it with such unrelenting vigor that when you look in that mirror, whenever that is, if you like the image that's staring back at you, then I don't think that you're going to one day wake up like I did, quote, and regret you didn't stick where you're at, end quote. Because to do that, you would have been sacrificing self-worth. And what idiot is going to do that when you're talking about that kind of money? So, again, I'm not here to beg on Darryl. I am one of Darryl's biggest fans. I mean, even when Darryl was a Met, he was one of my favorite players. I just love Darryl. I love this style. I love this grace. I love the swing. I love the way he looked in the uniform. Just loved everything about Darryl. Come on. Loved him more when he was winning a World Series with the Yankees, of course. But Darryl's the man, and Darryl's a good cat. And Darryl has become a great soul and a great person and a great ambassador for many more important things in life. Here, I think Darryl's wildly off base because I think he fails to incorporate the circumstances of Pete, and he makes it seem like it's the same as his, and they weren't. Very different. All right. Juan Soto. Yeah, I tell you, I don't mind hearing the whisper when Juan wins 83 games. Soto, 83. All right, so Juan Soto said something interesting, too, and I love this here. I love when players talk like this. Let's get this up. I told you it's a baseball day. I've got something on the NFL draft as well, which you guys will dig. So, Juan Soto on battling show. Look at these graphics. Although, wait, do they make Ohtani a right-handed hitter there? What's going on with that? For the NL MVP. Quote, I'm going to be there every year, too, and he better keep doing what he's doing because I'm coming, end quote. Soto on battling the great Shohei Ohtani, the transcendent all-time Shohei Ohtani for the NL MVP. All right, now, here's the thing. So I'm looking at this right now. Of course, I think it's possible. I think Juan Soto's a terrific hitter. And what he's good at, you can take that down, Jay, thanks. What he's good at, like he's all-time great at in terms of being on base and his acumen, just ball strike and differentiating and all that prowess, all-time great, right? I'm not even going to get into fielding, running, even though he did steal almost 40 bases. Whatever. I think if Juan Soto's going to get there, which I believe that he can, I think Juan Soto just simply has to be better because, and I believe he's got that extra gear in his chamber here, but going back in descending years, right? So in 2025, you had Ohtani hit the 55 bombs. In 2024, also the 54 home runs, right? In 2023, these are all previous NL MVP winners. Acuna hit 337 with 41 home runs, stole 73 bases. Now, the year before that, of course, the Yankees could never get this version because those days are over. Goldschmidt hit 317 with 115 RBIs, MVP. In 2021, I'm not even going to count 20 because of the shortened season, but Harper hit 309. In 2019, that was Pete Bellinger, 305 with 47 home runs. And then even the year before that, going back to 2018, Christian Yelich, Milwaukee, hit 326 with 36 and 110. Now, what is the one common aside from power, and in some cases some high level base running, right? Well, the other commonality here is that, outside of Ohtani, I believe one of the years, everybody hit over 300. And that's something Juan Soto, by the way, hasn't done since 2021. Now, this very well might be the year that he does it. And there were some circumstances. Dell played for 2 teams in 1 year. Okay. And that was back in 2022 when he hit a very un-Soto-like 242. Clearly not who he is. I mean, Juan Soto can go up there and half try, and he's never going to hit 242 again, except maybe at the back end of that contract where he's just a diminished figure and he's chasing benchmarks, I don't know, 600 home runs, whatever the benchmarks might be for him, depending upon how healthy he stays and what he does. But anyway, 2022, he hit 242. In 2023, he hit 275. In 2024, with the great Aaron Judge, hit 288, so he's ticking there. And then last year took a step back, year 1 with the Mets, not as clutch, rough start, some hustle issues early, not running down the line. 2025, hit 263. Now, at the end of the year with the Mets, like if you didn't watch Juan Soto, you'd say phenomenal first year with the Mets. 43 bombs, 100-plus ribbies. OPS was, I think it was 921. Yeah, it was 988 the year before. Yeah, 921. Big-time season, okay? But obviously watching and being uber critical just based on the contract and the expectations, you knew that it was a bit of an uneven year for Juan Soto, especially if you're somebody like Juan Soto, where you're going to do damage in clutch spots. I think that Juan Soto can win an MVP. Matter of fact, I'd be disappointed if he doesn't. The Mets have never had that. And Juan Soto's got the goods to be the first Met to ever win the World Series, the MVP. A couple of guys Darryl could have won it back in the day. Few others came close. David Wright had some big seasons. But if he wants to win the MVP, get one more time with that quote board. See, I love that he's saying this. This is the guy who is beyond feeling the pressure. Quote, I'm going to be there every year too. So he better keep doing what he's doing because I'm coming. End quote. Like that's a money. That's if you're a Mets fan, how good does that feel? And it's not hollow. Like sometimes some of these guys will go out there and say, I'm going to do this and I want to do that. You're like, all right, sounds good, buddy, but you're not built for that. That's not who you are. I mean, Juan Soto can do anything he wants in the batter's box. So to me, for Juan Soto not to hit 300 is wildly disappointing. It's unacceptable. And by the way, you could get that off there, J-Rod. Thank you. That nice timing right there. That a boy. So I remember a couple of years ago, the whole Tucker Soto thing where I said Tucker's a better all-around player. I think he is. I know Soto's a much better hitter. But all around, even though Soto stole all the bases, that's more of a byproduct of listen, you still stole them, so I don't really need to contextualize that because Aaron Judge didn't steal 38. But again, it's a timing thing rather than a speed thing because his sprint speed and his runs against, in the outfield defensively are horrid, all right? So I said, and Tucker's faster and a better defender. Not a great defender, but better. But better all-around player, Soto superior hitter. I think most of us know that. But where I push back, and whether it was with Sal, whether it was with callers, whether it was with who, I'll do it right now if you want to. Whomever wants to do it. When people say, this goes back to how I feel about the word great. Like, let's not throw it around there. Oh, yeah, great game. Oh, great player. Are you great or are you good? And I'm not even talking about Soto now. Are you really good or are you great? Like, it's a lazy, people just throw it out there too much. And to me, great is the pinnacle of achievement. Like there's first you suck, then there's slightly below average, then there's this is my scale, just make it off the top of my head. Ass, so we'll go ass scrub. We'll go slightly below average. We'll go average. We'll go slightly above average. We'll go highly above average. We'll go elite. We'll go, great / superstar. And, if you call like 37 players great, that's stretching the boundaries of the word. There aren't 37 great players because there's not 37 superstars. Like, let me ask you this. There are people, and I've heard it too, just a quick comparison. Oh, Cat's great. Look at the numbers. And I know Cat, I hit him a lot. I get it. He's starting to play a little bit better now. Yesterday, I talked a little bit about the Knicks, a little bit encouraged, coming back from that Rockets deficit, beating the Bulls, even though the Bulls stink back to back. Maybe this is the opening, like the awakening of the Knicks. We'll see. But a lot of people, because Cat scores points, can shoot threes, good foul shooter, good rebounder, all that stuff. Oh, Cat's great. No, he's not. He's not great. Jason Tatum is great when he's healthy. Jaylen Brown is great. Jalen Brunson is great. Luka is great. Giannis, when healthy, is great. Cat's not great. He's good. He's really good. He's an all-star. It's not like there's a delineation there. So I say this because when you would call me up and Sal would tell me how great Juan Soto is, more so from a hitting point of view, and certain aspects I don't push back on. Again, I'm not just trying to, take shots at Soto because what he's great at, he's all-time great at. But when I hear generational talent, transcendent hitter, all-time hitter, can you hit 300 once in the last 5 years? Aaron Judge found a way to do it. You know what I mean? And if you're not going to hit 300, bang 54 bombs like Ohtani. And that's why and again, I love that Soto says this. I like that. Push those chips in the middle of the table. You got the contract. You're the top Met. It's not Lindor. It's you, all right? You didn't make the playoffs last year. There should be a little pressure. New team. Show him the way. I believe that he will. I'm much more a believer in Soto than a detractor. But keep that up there. I want to read that in a sec there, Jay. Thanks, bud. The reason why I run through the last, 9 or so, 2, 4, 7 or 8 MVPs in the National League is because there's a statistical connection. You either hit almost 60 home runs or you hit over 300 with power. I mean, Acuna hit 337, 40-plus bombs, stole 70-plus bags. I mean, so is Soto ever going to – Soto's never going to do that because he's never going to steal 70 bases. I mean, could he hit 337? He could. I'd like to see it. I mean, even Goldschmidt's year, 317, 115 ribbies, 10 more RBIs than Soto had a year ago at a whole hell of a lot higher average. Harper, going back to the 2021 season, hit 309. I mean, he hasn't hit 300 since 2021. Not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying that he hasn't done it. Bellinger, 305, 47 home runs. I'm not making this stuff up. Yelich won the MVP back in 2018, Milwaukee. Hit 326. 326. So, to me, that is what needs to happen. Because he just told you, and I love that he said this, because the thumb is he doesn't run away from pressure at all. I love it. I'll tell you who would never say that. Because I don't think he believes in himself the way that Juan Soto believes in himself. I don't think Lindor would ever say that. And this is not to knock Lindor either, but they're built different. Juan Soto's built for everything. Lindor is built for a lot of stuff, not everything. There's a difference. All right? So I believe Soto when he says that he believes it, that he thinks he could do it, but now you got to do it. At Virtual Discourse, you don't have to hit 300 to win or hit 300 to win. OPS matters for me more, yeah. Judge and Ohtani both consistently over 1,000 to win the MVP. No, I agree with that. Well, then either way, we can just juxtapose certain things here. If you wanted to, and I just say the 300 average because literally it's proven that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the last, can't put Ohtani aside. He's a freak show. But from Acuna, Goldschmidt, Harper, Bellinger, and Yelich, the 5 last MVP winners in the NL. And I'm only talking about this because Juan Soto brought this up himself. All right. That, he's ready to win. So Ohtani better be ready to keep up. I have no doubts Ohtani's going to do what he's done. I believe that Soto's going to keep doing what he's done, but that's not good enough to win the MVP. as evidenced by the fact that he's got none so far. So this is not a knock on Soto. Don't hijack it or do whatever you want. It really doesn't matter. But I don't think that you can be generational when you hit in succession. I'm sorry. You want to tell me batting average is antiquated? That's fine. It's not that antiquated where it doesn't mean anything. 242, 275, 288, 263. Figure it out, dude. Figure it out. Because I remember watching a young Aaron Judge, and there's no comparison between the two. I'm just bringing them up now. I remember watching a young Aaron Judge, ironically against the Mets, Max Scherzer. And this was about, what year was this? God, 25, 24. This was at least 4 years ago. Was it 2022? Yeah, I'm going to say 2022. So 22, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I remember in the Subway Series, Scherzer just kept taking Judge to school. Outside slider, wipe out slider, and Judge flailing. Well, guess what? Aaron Judge went from being a 270, 275, 280, 282, 288, whatever it was, to all of a sudden, he's basically like, Rod Carew with power. That's a transformative, transcendent, generational, all-time player. Juan Soto is a cut below that. And I'm sorry if you guys don't want to identify that. I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know. Now, if he was hitting 55 home runs like Ohtani and his OPS was consistently over 1,000, which it really never is, even the great year that he had with the Yankees was south of 1,000. Aaron Judge is 1,100 every year with his eyes shut. Aaron Judge, and again, there's no comparison, but if you want to talk about that top perch, that top spot, like what it looks like, here's what it looks like. You bang 50-plus bombs. You win batting titles. You have an OPS over 11. You're a plus defender. You're good on the bases. That's where I would kind of start. And, by the way, you have a WAR. You want to laugh at WAR? That's fine. I don't, and I know many of you don't either anymore. I mean, it's a pretty good number. It's not representative of everything, but it means something. When you have a WAR of 10 or better, 3 of the last 4 seasons, not 7, not 8, not 9, over 10. 3 of the last 4 seasons. And the only reason the one season that's below 10, barely, I think it was 8.8, whatever it was, is because those idiot, dopey, Dodger, moron jerks never fixed the outfield wall, and he missed 2 months. Because if he didn't miss 2 months, instead of hitting 38 home runs, he'd have 50-something. He'd have another MVP. Yanks would have been a playoff team. And, by the way, he would have had a WAR over 10, which is my point. Like, that's transcendent. That's untouchable stuff. Juan Soto's really good. And I like that Juan's saying this. But this should be the window because Judge is older, all right? Now, I'm going to be fair to Juan Soto. While he came up a lot younger than Aaron Judge, he was 19, Judge was 24, and that's going to ultimately impact Aaron Judge's numbers in totality when it's all said and done. It took Judge a while to refine his approach because he wasn't this type of – the last 2 or 3 years when he's morphed into a more patient, higher average hitter without losing and sacrificing any power, like that is a step. Now you Babe Ruth, and actually you're better because you're playing against minorities, and it's a different – I saw a stat. Oh, God, what was it? It was so amazing. I got to make sure I had this. Hold on. Oh, jeez. It was something about Ruth. I'm going to butcher this and it's going to bother me. I think it was something along the lines of, it was MLB. Let me maybe step by step. It was MLB Network's running through their top 100 players, which I always pop in on each year. I don't watch the whole show, but I chime in, I pop in, I'll look at the list, and I caught it the other day by chance when they were running through the top 10. And Soto was number 6, by the way. So Aaron Judge, for some reason, was number 2. They continue to lick Ohtani's boots. I'll take Judge, and Ohtani should be 2, but whatever. They put him 1, they put Judge 2 because of the pitching, as we know. And they had him to stat that when Babe Ruth hit his 60 home runs, he faced 46 pitchers the whole year. No reliefs, obviously no specialist. Oh, we got Babe coming up. Let's get the lefty specialist. There is no such thing. You got some guy who's cutting down Christmas trees in December and laying brick in January to subsidize his income, and who's throwing 397 innings, probably throwing 86 miles an hour maybe spitting on a ball, but no other pitches. And he's pitching every other day. That's the guy that Babe Ruth is facing. So I think it was 46 for Babe, and it was like 160 for Aaron Judge. Think about, and by the way, by extension, it obviously impacts other hitters now who face so many more arms, so many more angles, so many more, matchups that are less favorable, driven by the data. All right, this guy's not great on the slider. Well, let's get the righty on righty who has a wipeout slider. All right, the numbers tell us, and numbers don't fully lie. They don't tell you the entire truth, but they're a roadmap to something. So it's a whole hell of a lot harder to be great now than it was back then. And, Aaron Judge wasn't this hitter, this profile at the age of 26, 27, 28, which is where Juan Soto is now entering that, what should be his absolute prime. But because he came up at 19, you can make the case, and he was amazing in the World Series, you can make the case that he should already be a little bit more advanced with the average and with a few, well, there's really no other numbers he's not going to be on base more. He's great with that. I'm just laying it out, and this is something that has always been a good spark for any show that I've been on with any caller or with Sal or with whomever, social media. And listen, I'm not going to be so arrogant to say that you're wrong. I'm just going to say that I'm right. Let's cut the difference that way. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I just happen to be right, J-Rod. You notice the difference there, buddy?
No, big difference.
They're not wrong, Jay. They're just not right.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got here? Let's see here. All right. At D_Rod. What has Soto done that's so amazing at his age? Win a World Series at 19. Great. Others have at a similar age. Well, Cabrera for the Marlins, when they beat the Yankees back in 2003, I believe that he was 19. And he's one of the greatest right-handed hitters, one of the greatest pure hitters, Miggy, of all time. And, and maybe Juan Soto. Do me a favor, all right? Put up, J-Rod, I need you to do this here. And again, if I had, I would do it, but I would lose the feed. So just do it for me. See, when I talk about pure hitters, like great hitters, right? Look up Miguel Cabrera.
Yep.
All right. I believe his first year was 03. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he came up before that. I know he played in the World Series. Will you run down? And then, especially as he got to the Tigers, the only thing that I want is batting average. I don't need OPS, home runs, ribbies. Just run down in succession, when you have it, Miggy's batting average.
All right, I've got it. The site's just being a little slow.
I got you. And I want you guys to listen. And as we're looking this up, and again, Miggy had power as well, drove in a ton of runs. OPS was always high, like Juan Soto. But think about this. The last 4 years for Soto, batting average, which I know doesn't mean what it used to for many of you, and even to me to an extent, but 242, 275, 288, 263 in his prime. What I believe is his, now prime win. So what do you have for Miggy there? Go ahead.
So 2003 was 268.
Just starting out.
Start down, like go down.
I'm saying he's just starting out. He's just starting out.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm sorry, Jay. You don't even have to give me the year. We're assuming we're starting at 2003. Just rip through the averages and give me a little pause in between each one. Cool. Just the averages. Go ahead. Starting from 2003. 268.
268. 294.
Yep. Here we go.
323.
Okay.
339.
Here we go.
320.
I mean, come on.
292.
Down here.
324.
Back up. 328. The man.
344.
I mean, come on. 344. Come on.
330.
330.
348.
34. Are you listening to these numbers?
313.
What'd you say? 313?
Yeah, 313.
Okay.
338.
Yep.
316.
You could stop. You could stop. you can stop. Points been proven. And I'm not even trying to make this like a Soto Miguel Cabrera thing. But that to me, and we can rip through the OPSs and all that, which I'm sure are incredibly similar, and I'm sure favorable to Miggy in many of those years because he was also a power guy. And when you're hitting 340, 330, 348, 338, 329, I mean, the OPS and the on base, it's all going to add up to slugging that are numbers that are either comparable or far exceeding Soto in certain spots. That's all I'm saying. And I can already see where this is going to go. It's not to denigrate Soto. It's to contextualize where I believe that he is. He is a terrific player. He's the guy that you want up there, 2 on, 2 out. He's got the confidence. We used to have an expression. I'll read that in a minute. We used to have an expression on the show, me and Sal, the sackometer. How big is your sack? I don't know how else to say it, plain English. We all know what that means. I mean, are you a 10 out of 10 on the sack scale? You know, are they dragging on the floor? You know, is the sack scraping? Yeah, is it? Because I know when Soto gets up to hit, the sack is scraping. I know that, all right? But it doesn't mean that he's equal to some other people. That's all I'm saying. And he's a little different, a little better at certain things, far worse at other things. And, you know, I have to be the standard bearer for Major League Baseball. Because if I don't check some of this stuff, it's going to go unchecked. And a narrative, oh, yeah, the generational all-time Juan Soto. Dude, you hit 265, come on. What are we talking about here? That's all I'm saying. All right, let me get this guy up here. At Charlie6675, Soto blows Judge out of the water in playoff stats. That's fair. Listen, I'm not talking about clutch. Now, to be fair, I mean, last year, to be really fair, and I think more accurate, updated, okay, because before last year, I mean, I wouldn't even waste anybody's time. How did Aaron Judge do in the postseason last year? Did pretty well, right? It was around him that did nothing, and even started showing some signs in the World Series with the Dodgers a little bit. Last year was he also dropped the pop-up, full-blown Aaron Judge experience, all right? And, I mean, one of Juan Soto's greatest traits is his clutch value, but you won 83 games a year ago. I don't know if this is the year to tout, you know, October prowess or, you know, postseason accolades when year one with the Mets, he didn't get there. And I know it's a team sport. I get that. And the Mets pitching was awful. And Mendoza had a bad year. But and they had some injuries. But there were many times, especially early in the year, where Juan Soto could have delivered. And instead of winning, if he would have, in typical Juan Soto, and I think he will this year, but in typical Juan Soto fashion, you know, instead of winning 83 games, maybe the Mets would have won 87 and maybe 88. And that last series against the Marlins would have mattered a whole hell of a lot more than it did. And the only one who pitched well in that series was Clay Holmes. You know what I mean? So it would have been a different profile of a series. And you can't tell me otherwise. When your best players have great seasons, all right, great seasons, not really good seasons or not good seasons that look great statistically, but the ebb and flow of his early and his inability to, which was confounding because he's always been great at this, hitting the clutch, like that's a part of his 2025 season. It's a part of his 2025 resume. If you choose to look at the total home runs and the stolen bases, that's fine. To me, that's fluff because he's not Ricky Henderson. He's not Lou Brock. Who cares how many bases he steals? When there's 2 out and it's the 8th inning and they got their closer in and they're trying to get through this tough part of the lineup. And if they do, then it gets easier. Like, let's get through Lindor and Soto and Pete and those guys. And if they do, then the opponent's going to win the game. Well, Juan Soto had chances early in the year, many, and he failed to come through. And he wasn't alone. He was not alone. I'm not trying to make this all about him. But, I mean, you know, so when he says, again, I love it. I think that he will get an MVP before it's all said and done. If not, wildly disappointing. He should. And he still finished, you know, very high a year ago, had some other good finishes, but you got to win one. I mean, if you want to think about this, you know, the all-time generational Juan Soto, imagine if he has no MVPs. I mean, that's something that is going to be held against him, not in terms of being in the Hall of Fame. Of course, he's going to get in, but let's go at Bronx NYY, at Bronx New York Yankee fan 23. It's got to be a little Donnie shout out. Love it already. I see value batting average because it does still lead to a higher OPS. Yeah, sure. If Volpe would just hit 250, his OPS would probably get to 750. Just saying, it's all correlated. There's no doubt about it. People want to point to, I agree with that. You know, now placing what degree of emphasis just on that, you know, batting average. Well, I said this the other day. I don't even know how it came up, but if Luis Arias was playing in the 1980s, certainly the 60s or the 70s or the 80s, and you know, once the steroids started popping, it would be different. But even into the early 90s, when maybe not everybody was taking roids, mostly everybody. Don't want to impugn the integrity of everybody. Mostly everybody. Allegedly, reportedly. then I think that somebody like Luis Arias would be known as an all-time hitter. Like, why would he be viewed differently than Rod Carew? Now, Rod's got over 3,000 hits, and, Arias is starting to, some of those numbers are a little bit diminished, and the OPS is weak, and I'm not saying he's Rod Carew, but if you look at Arias' first couple of years when he won, I think it was 3 in a row. I think it was back-to-back batting titles, right? For 3 different teams. I know he's got 3, maybe 4. Whatever it was, he was hitting 340 every year with no strikeouts, right? Now he doesn't walk, and he's got no power, but we didn't talk about that back. Rod Carew didn't have power. Outside of a year or two, Wade Boggs didn't have any power. Wade Boggs turned up the power was that 80? I think it was 85 where he had like 25 or 26 home runs, but Wade Boggs was not a home run hitter. He just hit 340, 350, 358 with his eyes shut, So it's totally different. Inside the MLB, you can have true. That's true. You can have the sack scrape and still not perform. I agree with that, especially in a sport that's rooted in failure. The point is, if you're walking to home plate and let's say you get 700 at bats over the course of a year, and every time you're striding up to home plate, that sack is scraping up against the dirt and the grass and the on-deck circle, you're going to have more success than the guy whose sack is not scraping 700 at bats. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have a postseason where you hit 190, but you're not failing because the moment's too big for you. You're failing because there's a randomness and an incredibly high degree of difficulty, unlike any other sport that we watch. So, but I hear you. I know what you mean. At Omar_Youssef. Oh, what's going on, buddy? The league average batting average, or the league average BA this decade, is around 245. In 2000, it was 270. For context, in 2000, we had 53 guys hit 300. The last couple of years, we've had about 40 guys each year just bat 270. No, I am well aware. Like, I remember, getting the newspapers back in the day and seeing all the league leaders, whether it was a Bill Madlock in the NL or a Boggs or a Carew or a Gwynn, guys like that. Like, those guys will be hitting 340, 350, 358, Gwynn even higher some situations. But you had a ton of guys that would, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it seemed like there were 30 guys-ish that hit, 300. A lot of guys 301, and just incrementally work up. No, the whole game has changed. And I'm not here to change the game. Again, this conversation's about what Juan Soto said about the MVP and, kind of a message to Ohtani, which I respect. I like that. That's why he's got a massive sack. Again, the sackometer. Soto's 10 out of 10. We should have had that trademarked, man. The sackometer. The ability to do what he does is amazing. But if you're not going to hit 300, which he doesn't anymore, and he hasn't for half a decade, well, then if you want to win an MVP, you can't hit 40 home runs. You got to hit mid-50s. And you got to have an OPS in the territory of a Judge or a Soto. A Judge or an Ohtani, which he never does. That's all I'm saying. Listen, I understand that once J-Rod makes the shorts, I can already promise you what's coming. There's going to come the shade from the Met fan. There's going to come the shade from the fan who didn't listen to the entire conversation. If you listen to this entire conversation, you cannot contest the fact that I've been fair to Soto. And why wouldn't I be? That I respect Soto, that I think he's terrific at many things. But my standard might just be a little bit higher than some others. I mean, if you're happy, and I know you're not, so I'd say it sarcastically, if you're happy with the final numbers this year against, hold on, with, a 971 OPS or 921, which is really, really good. If you're happy with that, okay. I'll tell you what, if Aaron Judge has an OPS in 920 this year, I'm saying Aaron Judge didn't have the same season that I thought he was going to have. Because when Aaron Judge is clicking, Aaron Judge is over 1,100 minimum. I mean, bad season, Aaron Judge, 1050 OPS. 920? Not for that contract. I'm sorry. All right. J-Rod, did I miss anything there? Hold on. I'll keep that up there. Hold on. I'm out. This convo ain't it. More low-key Mets trolling. You see, let's see if he's actually out. I don't really know if he said he's out. So this is a person, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but this is a person who simply cannot deal with the reality of an honest conversation. All right. Let me let everybody in on a little secret. that you should probably know by now. I'm not a sycophant. I am not, I don't have, even though I've got a man cave, but I don't have Don Mattingly posters over my bedroom upstairs. Okay. I don't have little trophies like I used to have in my bedroom growing up over our bed upstairs. I don't have that. I'm a grown man who knows the sport, knows it better than most, trust me, and has, I guess, the ability to separate multiple things and give it to you the way it really is. So if you construe that as trolling, I think that's a you problem. That's not a me thing. That's a you thing. That's a you hearing what you want to hear. That's maybe you being predisposed to some energy that you thought I was emitting back in the day, and you're not able to cross the bridge and separate that and actually hear what I'm saying. Because, I'm not I'm a flex here, but a lot of those things that you didn't like that I was saying came true. Now, not the Lindor stuff. I was dead wrong on that. And I own it, and I laugh at myself, and you have to. I mean, geez, but Pete, gone. Nimmo, gone. I mean, a lot of guys gone, talking about that Mets core. So what you perceive to be a troll, it's my reality, and it's also the Mets' reality. So if you can't handle that, then I don't need you here. Goodbye. I mean, I don't want people that are that soft and that unable to have big boy discussions. I don't need that. This isn't college radio. You know what I'm saying? This isn't like a message board where everybody, it's group think. I don't want you to think what I think because that's a boring show. I would actually like you. I'm going to take something back. I would like you to hang around and actually challenge me rather than just duck out and say, "Oh, sounds like a troll job. I'm going to leave." Well, what's troll? What did I say? What is trollsome about that? Nothing. You just have thin skin. Again, that's a you thing, not a me thing. At OG Jake 99. Hopefully, thank you for that, OG. Now, just with the OG moniker, I would have to think, no, keep it up. I got to read it. I got to read that, Jay. I got to give him some love on that super chat, man. There we go. Give a little longer than usual. I mean, you throw a super chat up there, you're getting some real love. Soto's got the one stat above Judge that really matters. He's a fall classic hero, and he's got the W. That's true, but he doesn't have it as a Met, nor did he get it as a Yankee. Now, I'm not saying it's his fault. He is a World Series champion. There's no doubt about it. No doubt, OG. I got it. Who's better? Who's better? Let me ask you this. Now, I know it's not an apples to apples thing because Aaron's getting up there in age. He's, 34? And Judge is, Soto, I think, is 26 or is he 26 or 27? I think he's either way, 26 or 27. So he's got a long way to go before he gets up to Aaron Judge's age. So I'm not going to sit here and say, for the next 10 years, who would you take? But I will frame it this way. Next 3 years, who would you take? I know I'm taking Aaron Judge. And everybody in baseball, unless you are a childish, and I don't mean you, OG, a childish sycophant who just cannot separate the Met Yankee thing, whatever, I don't know what to tell you. Because I am very able and capable of doing that to the point where I've said, and I said it the next day on WFAN. I mean, the amount of shit that me and Sal were talking every day, I had two choices, all right? And with the callers, I mean, it was phenomenal. It was some of the best stuff some of the most fun I've ever had in my career and some of the best stuff that's been on FAN in a long time. Like that Soto Yankee Met thing, like, oh my God, we were all over it, man. Every day, me and Sal, we were in a mosh pit of the energy, like, not necessarily fighting, but like, man, this is heavy. I'm exhausted, this is real stuff with the fans, me and him. And I had two choices that day. Sunday night, signs with the Mets, it breaks. I'll never forget where I was. I was upstairs. I'm laying in bed. It's pretty early, but I'm watching whatever I'm watching, starting to wind down. Got to get up early, drive into the city, schlep through Manhattan, the Holland Tunnel, all that nonsense, which thankfully I no longer have to do. And I see it break. I'm like, oh, God. All right. I know what my day's going to entail. I come in, two choices. Oh, I didn't want him anyway. He's not worth it. Screw Soto. What is he? Or you got him. You won. You got to man up. You won. And I was forthright enough and transparent enough with you to let you know that I wanted Juan Soto to stay. I didn't want Juan Soto to leave. Only idiots wanted Juan Soto to leave. Now, if Juan Soto would have stayed and Juan Soto would have hit 263 last year, I'd be all over Juan Soto if he did that in the Bronx. If you elect not to do that because you're happy that he picked the Mets over the Yankees, do whatever you want. I'm just telling you what I do and what I would do and what I did do when I found out that he was going to be a Met. So, guys, it's never, and I think most of you know this. Oh, by the way, so I dropped that new content. What are the goals here? At least once a week, all right? At least once a week, and I already got the first one up there. My all-time Yankees lineup, post 80, that's up there. And J-Rod, do you have that handy? Why is my, that's not good. It says,
Was it for you?
Dude, I'm looking at 9 plugs and every plug is plugged in. Like what? I don't know what's going on. I really don't know. I mean, I understand that there's a lot of shit going on here. I've got, 9 microphones and cameras and stuff, but it shouldn't happen. I don't know why it does. As I started to say, now it says that my battery's low. Who knows how long I got here? So I want to bang through some stuff and then finish this up. I got to plow through. There's nothing I can do right now. All right, so the content, I've got the Yankee lineup up there. That is up on the YouTube channel. I was going to ask J-Rod if he still had that anywhere visible, if he could actually get that up on the screen. I didn't tell him this before the show. So if he doesn't have it ready, it's not a big deal, J-Rod. If you actually can find it kind of quick so I can let the Met fan know what I've got coming for them.
Got you in like 10 seconds.
I got you. No, all good. 10 seconds, all good. So what I did was I'm just building out a roster, a lineup 1 through 9. Yes, and I'm counting some defense. Post 1980, which is when I really started watching baseball. I did it for the Mets. I did it for the Yankees. I'm in the process of doing it for the Mets. I've got all the graphics built out. I'm going to drop it this weekend coming up as a nice, little kickstart to the season here. I've got something on the Big East, my all-time Big East team as well, encompassing the entire history, which started in 1979 for the Big East. And this is content that I will drop on this channel, in addition to obviously going live every day at 10. Still some things I got to work out clearly. J-Rod, if you found it, let me know. If not, I'll just get to the other.
I'm going to toss it up.
You got it.
Just loading real quick.
I got you. And again, then after that, I want to make, okay, so this was the lineup for the Yankees, right? And a lot of you took issue with me not having Reggie Jackson on there. But to me, I'm going greatest leadoff hitter in the history of baseball. I got Jeter, high average, high IQ, a lot of contact in the 2-hole. I got vintage prime Mattingly, who not only won the MVP in 85, but en route to 146 RBI, struck out 41 times. I mean, as good as Aaron Judge is, and he's as good as I've ever seen. I mean, imagine if Judge struck out 41 times this year. My God. Aaron Judge in the 4 spot, A-Rod, the great Alex Rodriguez batting 5th, playing 3rd. I got the switch hitting Bernie in center. He's going to bat 6. Winnie, the DH, 7 spot. Jorge, switch hitting catcher with Pop, 5 silver sluggers in the 8-hole. And what do you know? Little Robbie Cano in the 9-hole playing second base. Thought about Willie for a second. Did not think about Chuck Knobloch. Obviously, no O'Neill, no Matsui, no Mark Teixeira, no Tino Martinez. So obviously going to be some omissions. We could get that down, J-Rod. Thank you very much, my man. And now, as I build out the graphics, I have built out, I want to tweak, I want to give one more look. Now, I'm not going to flash anything up now because it's going to drop this weekend coming up. The all-time Mets lineup, 1 through 9, post-1980. And I think you guys will love this. And then we'll do the Big East one, as I said. And then again, once a week, whether it's my top 10 sneakers of all time, my top 10 albums of all time, my top 10 sitcoms of all time, my top 10 Sopranos characters of all time. This is just a way, shorter hits, more content, connect a little bit, and do some more things as I build out the channel. All right, let me get this up here now because I don't know if this thing's going to die anytime soon. I don't know. I want to make sure we get it up. A little NFL draft. I want to make sure everybody knows where this is from. This is from Mel Kiper, all right? Who, all right, take it for what it's worth. I think Mel's very good at his job in terms of monetizing this more than anybody else in the history of drafting or mocks or scouting. He's a legend, man. And Mel's great. And he presents himself really well. He's wrong on a lot of stuff, but we all are. This is his updated mock draft, the top 10 going into the combine, which is obviously beginning this week, okay? No surprise with Mendoza, number 1 quarterback. Now, if this were to happen, I think the Jets would get roundly criticized. I would love this. I've been telling you guys for a while, I want Caleb Downs. I don't care that he's a safety. I don't care that the last time a safety went second overall was back in 1991. I don't care. That's how much I love Downs. And I'll tell you this right now. If the Jets don't take him at 2, you better believe that Harbaugh is going to take him at 5. So I like that. You got the Cardinals at David Bailey, outside linebacker, Texas Tech. Some people like him better than Reuben Baines. We'll get to him as well. Arvell Reese, who has been most intimately connected to the Jets at number 2. And I like him. I don't love him at number 2. I really don't. So if he goes to the Titans at 4, I'm fine with that. I do think the Giants, if Downs is there, I think that makes sense. I think the Giants, some of you want a wide receiver because Malik Neighbors is not fully healthy yet. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that I've seen Fano play a ton as an offensive tackle for the Utah Utes, but if they identify, and he is thought to be for sure the best offensive lineman, and I'm okay just from a position, from a philosophy, if the Giants were to go offensive tackle and they get it right at number 5, I think that's a big win. You know, the Browns at number 6, Cornell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. I mean, and then you look at Sonny Styles, and this would be, if this happens, even if he goes 6, whatever, and Tate goes 7, the Commanders having Styles here, at least according to Mel Kiper. If that were the case, that would be the first time that 4 players ever from the same, at least as far back as this traces, the research people have done, have gone in the for the first 7 picks in the NFL draft, same school. Sonny Styles is terrific. Linebacker, Lemon, wide receiver, USC. It's a very good wide receiver draft. He's going to the Saints, according to Mel. I would be okay with this. Listen, I think that a running back is early here. Jeremiah Love, number 1, is very different. He's at Notre Dame. It's a very weak running back crop. The Chiefs are thought to, number 1, they tried to trade for Breece Hall. They couldn't get him for a 4th-round pick. Smartly, Muji didn't flinch. I think Breece is going to stay. I think he's either going to get that transition tag for $11.7 million. I don't think he gets the full tag myself at 14 change. Ideally, you slap a tag on him. You work out a deal. 3 years, 30 mil, 3 years, 31, 3 years, 32, in the neighborhood of about $10 million a year. I said this the other day. I really hope that Hall stays with the Jets, and I think he will. But because the Chiefs need a running back, I think Love makes some sense there. And then I'll tell you, this would represent a fairly precipitous drop by Reuben Bain. You think about the national championship game, we're sitting there, and I remember tweeting as well. I'm like, hey, I'd be okay with watching Reuben Bain, go off the board at number 2 for the Jets. The research I've done since, I like Reuben Bain. He's obviously going to go top 10, top 12. I mean, shoot, he could go top 7. I don't want him for the Jets. And now you get to it. It's not all. Keep this up there, J-Rod, please. It's not up on the board. However, I think there's a really good chance the Jets go defense, and that's something I've been espousing for a while. I am totally fine. I know many of you want that wide receiver, you want that splash offensive position, you want all that stuff. I get it, but the way you build out a real team is to have an O-line, which the Jets do, especially if they retain AVT on a pretty team-friendly deal. And then the other thing you do is you build out the defense. And the Jets' defense was hideous. It was deplorably bad. So I don't know if they're going to go defense. Mel thinks that they will. I hope that they do, and I'm open to it. And there you are. So Mendoza, Caleb Downs, David Bailey, Reese going defense there. And then obviously Giants going some O-line, some other defensive players in there. The one running back, it is a weak running back draft. It is a strong wide receiver draft. It's a pretty good offensive interior, not for the guards, for tackles. There's some good old linemen. It's a really weak quarterback draft. Outside of Simpson, there's nobody. And you can make the case whether or not Simpson's worthy of a first-round grade. I believe that he is. Many of you don't. But outside of Mendoza, I mean, nobody. If Simpson doesn't go first round, no other quarterback is going first round. So, listen, we're going to start getting those juices going. Draft is around the corner. I told you guys, we've got some sick, really, really, can't divulge what yet. Still, wrapping up some of the details with a contract, blah, blah, blah. But we are getting ready to do some massive stuff here for the draft with a massive company and a great ambassador for the game, which will be huge for our show, which will be awesome. So with that being said, I keep looking up and I'm seeing a little sliver of red on my laptop. That can't be good. That means it's starting to crash out a little bit. I really enjoyed the Soto stuff. I really enjoyed the Pete stuff. Just a little taste there. Wet the whistle, NFL draft. J-Rod, anything for me Did I miss anything? Is there a text up there that you want to throw up?
Here's a good text.
Yeah.
Are we doing movie breakdowns by or versus J-Rod?
Meaning what? I compile like my top 5, and then you give me your top
Top
5,
five,
and
and
we
then
contrast.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like Booms and Sal do. I guess they're like drafts. Yeah, like they do like movie draft or.
Well, we can't do what they're doing. Can't do what they're doing.
Exactly.
By the way, I saw
Change it
Sal talking
completely.
about the Carl Banks situation the
Oh
other
my!
day.
So what's funny? I watched that clip. I had never seen the original before,
jeez.
and then I watched it.
Oh, God.
Oh my
Dude,
goodness!
was
man.
that nuts or what, man?
That was that was insane.
The truth of the matter is, and I mean, of course, I was in the room when it happened, and I was part of it, so I don't need to watch the video again.
Yeah,
But I didn't, and I wasn't even looking for it. I saw some stuff. I'm like, well, Sal talking about Carl Banks. Let me flip it on for a sec. Give my my partner some love there. And he said something that I thought was pretty interesting, right? And this was similar to me with Paul O'Neill. Like sometimes you got to defend the show, and we both agree with that.
Yeah.
So we were both in lockstep with that. But what he said that really resonated, and I didn't think about this in real time, was that we weren't ready as a show. We weren't elevated. We didn't have the chemistry amongst each other. We didn't have the trust and the rapport with the audience, which we ultimately got toward the end. I'd say the last year or so. We were just starting out. So, like, the old wrestling term, heat, like, I've got no problem with heat, but you got to be ready to deal with the heat. And we were not ready as a show to deal with the heat. Not that we were afraid of it, but I think it hurt us. And I agree with that assertion. He said that yesterday. I agree. And I'll never forget, man. I remember calling him up because it was in the newspaper. Oh, it was everywhere. And I remember wherever Jen was with the kids, I maybe going to get food. Or, I don't know. And I just had a long day, right?
Yeah.
A really long day, long 2 days. But this was the first day. Actually, a really long week with that. And I remember going outside. I've got my fire pit that I often talk about. That's like the winter fire pit. But on my deck, I've got like a propane one, but that's less for heat and more for aesthetics. So
Sure.
it's early. It's obviously early in the season, and it's warm out. And I'm sitting there, and I got my foot up on the thing, and I'm sipping a scotch. And I got to call Sal, man. It's getting out of hand, And I know him, but I don't really know him too well yet. And I remember calling him. He was at a restaurant. He was at a restaurant with his wife. I think his daughter was. Pretty sure Stanley was there. And I'm just like, dude, I got you back, man. Like, it's really us against the world, is what it is. It's us against everybody's against us. It's a bad look for us. Like, it's very I never liked being the source of stories that were written. Now, I don't mean like, hey, if the show's doing well, or hey, they were voted number 2 in the country. Yeah. I love those stories, but like when there's a story about me getting thrown out of a little league game, or BT and Sal having a fight with Carl, or BT saying hanging up on Paul O'Neill, those are stories I'd rather do without.
Sure,
but that was freaking wild, man, and that was in our infancy. God Almighty, that was crazy shit. And one thing that I really appreciated. Who had our back big time was Spike. Spike absolutely 100% had our back. Because the only thing that I was a little worried about, not like the calls or the text or even the heat or the smoke online, whatever. That's imaginary world. That means nothing to me. I was worried because I was only on WFAN at that point for about a year and a half, right? Oh, I was worried. I'm like, man, did we just mess this up? Yeah. Because Carl also calls the Giant games. It's not like like he's just a former Giant. He's a former Giant who's a world champion, Super Bowl, but also part of the Giant broadcast and part of WFAN's team where we were paying him to come on the show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'm like, and I don't really know Spike he brought me over. I know him enough, but it was the first massive flare up and it was a huge one. I'm like, is this guy going to have our back? And I just remember him saying, I got your back. Don't worry, you're good. And man, I can't tell you how much we appreciated that. It was outrageous. But that's BT and Sal for you,
There we go.
Coming correct, coming hard, coming strong,
Yes, sir.
So all good. All right. Any other text? Anything else I need to know?
Not seeing anything so far.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
By the way, you notice there's
from
no
here.
Light. Hold on. You notice there's no light banging off the logo?
Yeah, wait. I saw a comment about that too. They're liking it. They're liking the new light. It's looking. It's much less reflective, much less glare going down.
Yeah, but it's not. It's. I'd like to take credit for it. Now, first of all, thank you. I didn't do anything. The difference is that the sun is reflecting differently.
Oh, really?
I don't know why. Maybe
Just
you know
so
what? I'll
happened.
tell you what it is. Now that I think about it, I don't know. Is refracting the right word? I don't know if
think
that's
so,
the word.
yeah.
I think it might be off the snow. Like
Yeah.
it's a different. It's softening it. Maybe. I don't
No,
know.
that makes sense.
It's almost like the snow outside is creating this matte,
Yeah.
MATTE, this matte-like background for the logo. Anyway, what was that last text? Then I'm gonna get bouncing. Here. What do we got?
Blank Your Couch says those are classics now. Talking
They are.
about all the videos, all the
Yeah.
the classic clips.
They are. I mean, listen. Here's the way I look at it, and it's not all going to be great, but how do you make a mark as a show? Now you don't go in there, and we didn't go in there saying, "Oh, we're going to land-based Carl," but we were ready because Carl was not really giving us a lot of stuff, and both teams sucked, and we were talking about Kayvon Thibodeau, and that was a real source of contention and consternation for us because we're like, all right, you get drafted 5th overall. Let me see whatever it was. Let me see what you got. I mean, let me see some plays here. And we both felt that, again, not to drudge it back up because I love Carl, but that he was being a little evasive, and he kind of Carl came in aggressively.
Yeah.
I forget what he said, something to me about, I think I'm a Jets fan, like basically minimizing my ability to speak, and I didn't appreciate that.
It was like
I just didn't.
He was like your audience. It was like you say these things like to your audience.
That's what. Yes.
It was so interesting.
He was getting preachy. Like,
Yeah.
don't preach to us, man. We're gonna show you respect, and I like Sal has a fine relationship with Carl, but I'm actually friends with Carl. I've been friends with Carl for 20 years. So I'm sitting there, so I'm maybe I'm processing it a little bit. Like if I didn't know him at all, maybe I would have been like, hang up on him, like enough of this shit, But when he started saying that stuff, I'm like, no, now you can't have this, dude.
Yeah.
You're not coming on the show. You can't lecture. You can't tell us what to do. You can't talk down to us. We all know you're on the show because you forgot more football than any one of us combined knows. It's your job to tell us what you're seeing, and instead you're kind of coming in and telling us how to do the show. So it got off the rails there quick. But I think that any show, all right, at any station, if you can't look back, here's how you know BT and Sal was money. Here's how you know. If you can't look back, I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of them. If you can't look back at a show and say, dude, remember when so-and-so did this? Remember when so-and-so happened on BT and Sal? Dude, do you remember the time on BT and Sal? I mean, you could say that a million times on BT and Sal. So to me, that's the mark of a successful show. Anyway, I love Carl. I think Sal's coming on Unleashed this week.
Let's go.
Yeah,
very fun.
Yeah, he and I were texting over the weekend about a few things and trying to dot the I's for the second BT and Sal live show 2.0. It looks like it's going to be April 2nd. Can't give you the venue yet, but as a matter of fact, I got to get on a call after this, right? But also about each one of us going on the other's channel like once a week. Just kind of keep that going, keep that energy, keep the juice going. So maybe tomorrow. So I got to get with Sal today. Sometime this week he'll come on Unleashed, and then I was on a show last week, and then next week I'll go back on his, so on and so forth. Hey, before you know it, it's going to be baseball season. And I cannot wait. So when I saw Darryl say what he said about Pete, I didn't think he meant it that way. But I did want to offer some context.
Also, real quick, we just hit it in the past minute, 16,000. Let's go.
16K.
Thank you to the fans.
Where's my Sharpie? I got to get my Sharpie here because you guys can't see it. Let me see. Maybe you can a little bit. On that part, on that piece of paper right there. Look at that trophy, by the way. How about sick is that trophy? Right on the wall there is a list. That's my own little motivation there. And click this guy back on. And every time I hit a little bit of a benchmark, I walk over, little red, old school, trying to get that bench press up, trying to get that 40 time, that whatever it might be. That's cool. I love it in real time. So whoever was number 16,000, that just looks better than 1598.
No,
now
big time.
It does. Now, listen, I'm getting greedy. I know you can't get to 20 before you get to 17, but you know where my mind's going.
Yes,
I
sir.
know, 17, 18, 19, 20, baseball season, NFL draft. This is not a hobby. This is not me. Oh, let me just do this while I wait for some radio station to call me. I'm not waiting for anybody to call me. This is what I'm doing. All right. I'm investing money I'm investing time and I'm investing resources, right? So for 16,000 of you to hit that button shows great affinity for me, great trust and great respect for what I have done, what I continue to do. If you're new, thank you. Like if you are new to the show, man, I mean, because there's only so many, BT fans in the world just based on those being exposed to X amount of people. This is not just a New York thing. Like when we get into other stuff, it's going to be NFL is going to be, A to Z. NBA playoffs, A to Z. It's going to always slant a little New York with the Yanks and the Mets and the Jets and the Giants. But the other stuff, this is going to grow and grow and grow. So I'm pumped up, man. That little 16 got me extra fired up.
Yes, sir.
Right?
And you know what I saw that was
Nice.
good too?
What?
When we announced it on the show, no one went down to $15.99. We only went up to $16.01. So
there we go.
Another person. Here we go.
Maybe this is the way to entice people. You just keep holding that thing up and just click.
The number's coming, guys.
All right.
Yeah, no, great stuff. Really glad that could happen live, and thank you to the fans.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, hearty salute. There's no doubt. Hearty salute. One thing that I always say, and if you look at them, if you're one of the first people in the chat on a weekday beginning at 10, I always write a little something, a basic description about the show, and then I always end it, let's eat. Let's get after it, man. Let's eat. Let's air it out. Let's eat. And, it's a lot more fun eating, and it's a lot more productive, and it's going to be a lot more successful eating at a table that is growing in size. So I really do appreciate that, guys. All right, dig out of the snow if you have to. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And I will be back tomorrow at 10. Like it, subscribe it, get that traction going. Hit the YouTube channel, bounce around. If you want to check out my all-time Yankees lineup from 1980 on, that's the one thing. Like, whoa, no Mantle, no Garrett. Dude, do you read? I mean, what is wrong with something? It clearly says post-1980. Does anybody think that I would put Posada over Yogi? You got to read. Anyway, go there and enjoy it. The Mets one's coming out next weekend. And then right after that, I've already got my all-time Big East tournament team lined up, which will drop the day before the Big East tournament at the Garden. So big things coming. NFL draft around the corner. Baseball underway, at least in the spring. All good. So have a great Tuesday. Catch you guys tomorrow at 10. Bye-bye.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host,